don't wanna be in my way.
Picture, you can see
Quick
the
reader.
board though.
Yeah.
I knew that.
See, we should be
Like
like,
many names.
you
right?
know,
I can edit it, it's fine. Only takes me a little bit.
all right, good job.
Okay. So we'll go around and do roll call first. And then we'll introduce our new members. But Bill McGruder here.
Scott Gresh, present. Emerson Smith, present.
Barb Strang, new and present.
Deb Curtis, not a member, but ex officio.
Captain Greg Perks.
Not a member. Greg's gonna be doing the presentation tonight.
We'll go to Zoom. Lexi's here.
Sloan Carfield present.
You wouldn't be John by any chance. would you?
John Sauter, good present.
John, would you like to come on up to the table?
John, good. Good to see you. Okay, before we do review and approval of the minute, I guess, John, we'll let you just kind of introduce yourself to the board.
Sure.
And then Barb, I'll put you next.
Yeah, I am, by way of being a business owner and, on the board now. My wife and I own Leopard Boutique over in, Old Webster. And I've been really involved with the community ever since we did that. I've sat on the trade association and, actually, to be 100% honest, I was applying for the Business Development Commission, position when they were suggested that I could do this, and honestly, I feel like this is a better impact on the community. My girls now go to Bristol, and I've interacted pretty regularly with the police officers over in the area, and I thought it would be a good place to, like I said, be involved with you. Welcome. Thanks.
Part of my wardrobe is dressed by Leopard Boutique, so thank you.
No, thank you.
Barb.
Yeah, I haven't visited yet, but finally. Yes, I'm Barb Strang and have been attending these meetings, I guess, since the beginning of this year. Just because I'm very interested in what they do and I have seen the meetings, and thanks to Lexi, kind of define what we're gonna do. And the more I heard, the more I liked that. And as I said, when I interviewed, our officers take an oath. And I want to make sure that everybody in this community is behind our police officers because they're out there every day serving us. So it's our way of serving them. I have been involved in the community, lived here for about 25 years and ran for the school board at one point. And just know a lot of people and want to continue that relationship through this meeting.
John was asking for the login, but I just sent him my link, see if he's gonna hop on here. Okay.
If he can't find it, he can go on the city site and I'll bring him in as a
Okay.
panelist. Should
We-
have got, I'm sorry, Joey, should have gotten it in his email.
Okay, Lexi attached July minutes to her note. We also have August minutes there that were attached, but since we didn't have a quorum at that meeting, though, they're just for an FYI. But in terms of July, do we have a motion to approve those?
Move to approve.
Anyone want a second?
I
Or,
can,
yeah, you can.
maybe Lexi might second, yeah.
Lexi seconds, okay. July minutes are approved. Okay, from there, we'll, I think, jump into Chief Curtis and Lieutenant Perks' presentation on public safety.
All right, that's Captain Perks.
Oh, I think,
And let me bring the PowerPoint up and share the screen.
okay, so John has my name on there, but that isn't me, John.
Okay. It's backwards.
New screen, chief. Put PowerPoint up. Click on the blue screen over there.
Get this off. I think it would bring us back up with this on here.
may have said Lieutenant Perks, but Captain Perks, sorry.
All you have to do is click to go between slides.
All right, Chief. All right, again, Captain Greg Perks, and we're gonna do about a 15-minute PowerPoint presentation on crime prevention education. So during that, at any point, if you guys have any questions for me or the chief, just feel free to ask it at any time. Some of the stuff I'll say, you might have a question about what that means or what it is. So feel free to ask that, okay? And we're gonna have to move some of this around so you can see some of it. So first, a little bit about there we go. Pardon me while I click that one bar, that one bar right there. There we go. A little bit about knowing the facts about crime. So first we're going to talk about the crime, and this is about the crime in the United States as a whole. Okay, so at the top there, we've got murder. Murder happens about 1.7 times per hour, and as we go across the top of that screen, we have robbery. It's about 40 times per hour. Okay, so robbery happens that much more, and then assaults happen 92 times per hour. Burglary 257 times per hour, and fires happen about 720 times per hour. So 88% of burglaries are residential. So that's something for you to know. The 88 business burglaries aren't that high. 88% of burglaries are residential. There's a home intrusion about every 13 seconds in North America. Okay, home intrusion about every 13 seconds. Thieves can unlock 90% of doors by lock bumping. Okay, so which leaves no damage, and as a result, insurance companies deny the claim since there's no evidence of a forced entry. Everybody know what lock bumping is?
No.
That's a good one there. So what lock bumping is, this has been around for forever. It's been around about 75, 100 years, maybe even a little bit longer. It's a creation of a special key. And a key, everybody knows a lock has a specific key that goes in and it makes the tumbler, all the little pins in there open up and it turns the lock, you can unlock it. A lock bump is it's a special key that they create and it puts in there, and then they actually hit that key and it causes the tumbler to bump and it unlocks the lock.
How do they create it?
Locksmiths create them. So 3 times homes without an alarm system are 300% more likely to be broken into than homes with a system. So we'll get into that a little bit more in prevention of that, talking about creating homes with alarm systems are less likely to be broken into. All right, so 3 out of 4 homes will be broken into over in a 20-year period. All right, just a little bit of stats for you guys. This is across the country. These are statistics coming in across the country. All right, so some 2022 stats from Webster Groves. These are crime stats that happen in Webster Groves. These are from our stats from Webster Groves. We had 3 robberies, 81 vehicle thefts, 124 stealings, 22 assaults, 35 burglaries, and we did have 1 murder last year. That actually occurred in Webster Groves for 2022. Yes, sir.
Is robbery when it's from your person as opposed to
Yes.
stealing?
Yes. So stealing is just a stealing of an item. Robbery is from you, from a person. Any other questions on that?
And then what's burglary?
Burglary is from a home or a
Okay.
business. So, but it has to be, very specific statutes on that, on what designates a burglary from a stealing. So very, very specific on that, but typically burglaries are residential burglaries, as from this previous slide, 88% of them are residential.
One other thing about the vehicle thefts, and sorry, but that's not up there, it's not on you. I forgot to include that. Of the stealings, 70 were either from autos or auto equipment like catalytic converter. So only 54 of the 124 were actually from property from a home or from a business.
Can you say any more about the murder?
Like what?
Who, what, when, where, why, how, and any other details?
But we did put a media release out on it. It was a stabbing between 2 males that occurred last year. And we did make an arrest and charges were on it. And yes,
They weren't strangers.
they weren't strangers. They knew each other. It resulted from a fight.
Thank you.
Okay, some property crime preventing, how to prevent it. Lock it. Ensure your, all your car doors and your, everything is locked and your residence is kept locked. One of the big things we talk about there is, we'll talk a little bit more about this too, is even when you're home, keep your doors locked. Even when you're home. Light it, leave your exterior residence lit at night and or utilize motion detector lights. I do the same in my house. I have dusted on lights on my house. They come on at night and turn the exterior lights on that. Hide it, keep your valuables in your garage and your car hidden away, keep that stuff hidden away, you know, hide all your valuables. Remove it, don't keep anything, if you can, remove it out of your car. Don't keep your valuables in your car, remove them out of your car, put them in your trunk, hide them if you have to keep it in your car. Close it, keep your garage door closed and double check it at night, make sure it's locked. You wouldn't believe in our night patrols. They're driving around and how many garage doors are left up at night and that. So keep your garage doors closed and then report all crimes and suspicious activity if you see it. It's just, it's later in the slide as well. If you see something, say something. Okay, you see suspicious activity, say it, report it.
Can I just ask you a quick question there?
Yes, ma'am.
What if there's somebody in your neighborhood that continually leaves their garage door open? They, I don't know if it doesn't work or they forget, but the garage door is open all night. A lot of times, what are you supposed to do as a neighbor? Because I know you're just inviting if people are prowling around.
Well, I wouldn't recommend if you don't have a friendly relationship
Oh,
with
I
them,
wouldn't
I
go
wouldn't,
in.
right, I
Yeah, yeah.
wouldn't recommend going to them either. Maybe your maybe another neighbor has a relationship with them
No
and
one
that.
really does.
But our patrol officers are around there, and we do have cards and little things that we actually put on, it's called an open door memorandum. And
Okay.
our patrol officers would put that,
So if you spot it,
we spot it, we would write an open
Okay.
door memorandum and leave it in their door that, hey, we noticed your door was open.
got it.
And so hopefully that but we may have done that, we can't say, but if they're leaving their door open, I mean, that's all we can do. And it's their property, they have a right to leave their door open if they want. So,
It's just a little opening up
Yeah.
to the whole neighborhood. Thanks.
preventing a burglary, this kind of goes along the same way. 95% all home invasions require some sort of forced entry, breaking a window or kicking a door or picking a lock. And we'll get, I think the next slide talks about burglaries. We'll get into some percentages of that and what doors they use in that, but most of them, it's requires some sort of break-in. So how do we prevent that? What are some keys? How do you prevent a break-in or a home invasion type thing? When you move into a new house, immediately change all the locks. Move into a new house, immediately change all your locks, put new locks on everything. And get in the habit of locking your doors even when home. Even when home, lock your doors. Have a locksmith reinforce your doors by installing 2-post strike plates. I know what 2-post strike plates are. You know, when your door closes, the little strike plate, that little brass piece that's on your door jamb where the door clicks into it. Most of them don't have 2 posts. On the back side of that, if you take the 2 screws out, most of them are just a flat piece of metal that have 2 screws that go in. A 2-post strike plate actually has a long, I can draw it, but it has 2 long posts that come off of the strike plate that actually drill holes into the door jamb. And those strike plate, those 2 posts go into the door jamb. And then really long screws go through those and deeper into the door jamb. And so it puts pieces of metal into the door jamb. So it creates a barrier that prevents the door from being kicked in. It gives an extra barrier. So it's called a 2-post strike plate. Pretty cheap and they're pretty easy to install. Just takes a drill bit to drill a hole big enough and then the longer screws go through those. Don't put your name on your mailbox. It's easier to do research and stuff. It is unbelievable what Google can do if I have your name. If you've never done it, go Google your name. It's pretty incredible what you can find out just from your name. And then research shows on social media. And it's amazing what people post on social media about their travel plans and when they're out of town and where they're traveling to and that kind of stuff. And if you don't have a dog, you can always consider putting up beware of dog signs and that. It's been statistically proven that just beware of dog signs deter criminals. 4 in 10 homeowners age 13 months post about vacation updates and all that. And this, move that, there we go. 4 in 5 burglars use social media like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to select targets. All right, we'll break down on burglary entries. If you look at the stats right here, it shows you what doors they use. Everybody would think that the highest door that they would use would be the back door, right? Out of sight, out of mind. No, they use the front door. Okay, you guys can see that. Homes without security systems are 3 times more likely. So consider installing a security system. you don't have one, you're 3 times more likely. Right? But 1 in 3 burglars are more likely to use an unlocked door or window or other opening without force.
Like the beware of dog sign, can you just have a sign that says you have a security system? Is that effective?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, one of the things, I don't remember what slide it, one of the slides, if I didn't talk about it, says put up the signs. It might be on a crime prevention slide next, where it says just put the security system posts that you can buy, put them in your yard. I do have camera systems. I do have an alarm system. I do have dusted on lights. I do have signs in my yard. I do have all that. Any questions about this? Here it is. There it is. Yep, keep your doors locked even when home, post security signs around your entrances. There it is. Make your home seem occupied, all the time. Have your lawn mowed when you're on vacation. Install motion lights outside your home, reinforce your doors with deadbolts, get to know your neighbors. That's key. Let your neighbors know when you're out of town. Don't advertise your valuables, landscape tall shrubs and trees, especially around your windows and doors and that kind of stuff. Keep your trees, everything, your shrubs trimmed and all that kind of stuff. You have big shrubs blocking your windows. It's a good hiding spot for a burglar to get into that window, break your window out, and nobody will see him standing there. Jam and lock sliding doors. Sliding glass doors are easy entry points. So a jam is one of those locks that slide down like this and prevent the door from being slid open. So not just the locking mechanism on the door, but one of those lockdowns that go like that. Okay. Don't overshare on social media and lock and secure your garage. All right. Follow safety practices. Check your house for weak access points. Lock your doors and windows. Use deadbolts. Keep sidewalks and steps clear of ice and snow. Why is that on there?
So we fall. Figure you're not home.
If you leave them covered with stuff, people think you're not home. That's right. Never prop open your door to apartment buildings. Report residents who do. A lot of apartment buildings, that's part of their secure net. That's how they keep the building secure. If you prop them open, easy access for people who don't belong there. Document serial numbers, electronics, take pictures of all valuables and store them in a safe place. And then safety features in your home. Buy and use variable light timers inside. We've talked about that. Install and use automatic timers outside. We've talked about it. Window guards that prevent windows from being raised more than a few inches. You can buy things installed inside your windows that only allow them to open up that far. And then a locking mailbox that helps prevent things from being stolen out of your mailbox. Package theft. Security about package theft. This is a big thing right now. We're getting into the holiday season where everybody's going to start shopping for the Christmas season. This is huge. Doorstep delivery is often a crime of opportunity. They follow delivery trucks and watch for direct packages out in the open. They drive around and look for this. Okay, so before you order something and have it shipped, think about this. Choose the right services for your needs. Ship the package to a location where someone will be available to receive it, or do the whole signature for delivery option, signature required. Consider sending it to a location where they have the delivery options. UPS, FedEx, they all have these store location pickups, right? They also have drop boxes that are out, where you can have it delivered to a drop box, and then you can go and punch in a code and just pull your box out right there. They have those exteriors. That's what all of this is about. Postal Service, UPS, Amazon, they all have these options right there, okay? And then if you see something suspicious, say something, okay? Because all of these things like that, we're getting into that season now. So if you see somebody following a truck around and they're turning and following that truck and watching them, report that car. It's important. How am I doing on time, Chief?
You're good.
All right. Make sure. Important information.
Jill will give you the hook when you run out of time.
It's like I'm in a class. I'm waiting for the 5-minute sign to come up for my speech, Prevent personal property theft. When dining out or shopping, these are great tips. When dining out, keep your purse on your lap or between your feet. My wife does this. My daughters do this. I taught them with the handle around the leg of the foot of your chair. I see ladies do this all the time in restaurants. They just set it on the chair next to them like this. Now put it down between your legs, or take the handle of your purse and actually put it underneath the foot of the chair you're sitting in. Okay. When shopping, don't leave your purse or wallet unattended. If you put your purse in the shopping cart, they all have those safety kid belts. Take that safety kid belt and strap it through the handle of your purse. So they can't grab it and run. They're gonna try to run away with the whole cart. They do. And always, my wife is notorious for this one. Don't tell her I said that unless she's watching, but she's not, because I know it's not watching. Keep the purse zipped and closed. My wife is notorious for having the thing wide open. Keep passwords and credit cards safe. Never carry passwords in your purse or wallet. I also recommend having a password vault on your phone or your electronics that keeps all your passwords safe, and then having a master password. Keep a list of all credit and debit card and identification cards and numbers, customer service numbers in a safe place. That's your password vault. If you don't have one, I recommend one. In case you need to, that way, in case you need to report any kind of account or report a theft or anything, password vault. You can one password and it keeps everything secure. You guys know, have you ever heard of one of those? Okay, password vaults are the key. All right, vehicle theft. Roll up windows and lock your doors, even if it's parked in your own garage. We have a lot of vehicle thefts that in Webster Groves that are stolen out of their garage. And people leave their keys and they leave them unlocked and they leave them in their garage. And burglars get into the garage and then they decide to look there and they steal the car. So even if it's in your garage, lock them up. Keep your garage door closed. If it's not in a garage, park in well-lit areas, hide all valuables out of sight. Even if you can see them, or you can see them, the thief can too. And then keep a record of vehicle identification number. I'd also recommend keeping a record of your license plate number on hand as well. Now we can look that up, but it's just easier if we ask you, you can tell us, hey, here's a picture of, or here's a copy of my driver vehicle license and the VIN right away. That saves us a little bit of time to do research. And then if your vehicle has anti-theft technology, use it, which most modern vehicles do. But there are a lot of older model vehicles on the road still that don't have any anti-theft stuff at all. Also, get neighborhood crime alerts, sign up for updates and crime patterns in our area. We send out tips about how to protect yourself in your home. We do this weekly. We send out our crime reports, and then through our social media accounts and through all that stuff, like the eSends report, our electronic criminal incident notification system. We send that out weekly as well. So you can stay up on all the crime trends and that kind of stuff weekly through our webpage and that kind of stuff. So sign up for that and tell your neighbors to sign up for it as well. And you can stay up on modern trends. And that's how we get the information out to our citizens. And Detective Paul Boudreaux right there is the one who does that weekly for us. After school safety tips for our kids. Remind children to go straight home from school. Use a smart lock that can be monitored remotely. Those are pretty easy to install in your home. There's a smart lock that has an electronic keypad and you can program multiple different codes into these things. And then it can send an alert to your smartphones that when they're unlocked, when they're locked, and it automatically will send an alert to your phone. So I have them on my house. And so when my daughter gets home from school every day and she opens the keypad up, I get ding on my phone. I know my daughter's home. Okay. Lock the front and back doors when home. Never open the door for strangers. I also have a camera system on my doorbell. And as soon as the doorbell rang, like I know I got a UPS package delivered today, because as soon as they ring the doorbell, my phone went ding and I pulled it up and it was my UPS delivery. So teach children to detect suspicious activities such as broken windows, open doors, household items out of place. If my daughter got home and the door was propped open and she peeked inside and stuff was ruffled up, she knows not to go in the house immediately, call 911. That kind of stuff. Okay. Never enter a house that looks suspicious. If something's out of place, something's wrong. Don't go in the house, call 911, get the police there. And do not put your address or names on spare keys. If somebody you lost your keys or something like that, and somebody finds it, what does that tell them?
Where to go?
Where to go. Okay, lost keys are just lost keys. They're no good to somebody if they don't know where to go. Holiday crime preventions. These are a really long lists, but they're about the same things that we just talked about. Vehicle theft prevention, all the same tips we talked about on vehicle theft. Personal safety tips when walking at night. There's a little bit different stuff here. Just if possible, don't walk alone at nighttime, but if walk in groups whenever you can. Let family and friends know where you're going and what your route is, estimated time of arrival and such when you're going to return. If you have to walk at night, walk in well-lit areas. As much as possible, walk on sidewalks when possible. Excuse me. Always be aware of your surroundings. Be hyper vigilant of that. This one right here is huge. I cannot stress this one unbelievably enough. Youth today, young 20s, teenagers are always plugged up. Always plugged up, headphones in, and have no idea what's going on around them. It is turned up so loud, they're always listening to music or podcasts or whatever, and they have no idea what's going on around them. That makes people so susceptible to crime or to anything, a car coming that they can't hear, anything like that. And so they just keep the volume down, always be vigilant of your surroundings, always. Cell phones can be a distractor or a target for theft. Wear bright clothing. Another thing about cell phones is we've all seen it, people walking down the street and they're this constantly. So always do that. Always, I say put the phone in your pocket and walk to where you're going and then check for your text messages or your emails or whatever you got. And then package theft prevention, we've talked about all that stuff. It's the same stuff. Okay. Ship to store, put it in have it delivered to a locker or something like that, a signature. It's the same stuff we talked about. Any questions on any of this stuff? Carjacking tips, how to avoid being a victim for carjacking. Carjacking is one of the scariest things that can happen to a driver. It is a violent crime. And it involves stealing of a car by force. So it is basically a robbery where a person is using force to steal your car. All right. It's often at gunpoint or knife point, but likely at gunpoint. According to the National Crime Victimization Survey, about 49,000 carjackings occur or attempted carjackings occur in this country a year. Okay. Very low risk. Okay. But a few precautions we can take to minimize this. All right. To even lower that risk a little bit more. They occur for a variety of disturbing reasons, including fleeing the scene of a crime as a part of a gang initial ritual, right? They do it for fun. It's most typically a crime of opportunity. Believe that one. Since there are so many potential cars in the streets and victims to target, car thieves scope out the situation and choose the most vulnerable cars and people. It's often linked to other crimes, and the vehicle can be used as a getaway car even without you knowing it. It's likely, a crime of opportunity and initiations and fun. And that's literally about the three main things we see. All right. Who can be affected by carjacking? The short answer is absolutely anybody. Anybody. Right? Carjacking is most often associated with inner city neighborhoods notorious for gang violence, but car theft can happen to anyone, anywhere. What are they looking for? They're looking for opportunities that self-serve, where they're looking at self-serve gas stations. They're looking desolate intersections with stoplights, parking garages, residential driveways, and highway exit ramps. That's where they primarily occur. Okay. Most common strategy is to bump the car from behind. So they come up behind a car and they bump it. All right, to make a minor fender bender appear like an accident, the carjacking occurs when the driver pulls over and gets out to assess the damage. The carjackers will then come up, use their gun, steal the car in front that they just bumped. Right? We've also been known to stage other type of accidents, take advantage of Good Samaritan drivers. Two other scenarios about carjackers flashing their lights from behind in order to signal like you have a maintenance problem, like your gas cap's open or something like that, or a flat tire or something. And then they follow your home or and attacking you, pull into your driveway, that kind of thing. And believe it or not, we had a carjacking this year.
4 weeks ago,
5-6 weeks ago, we had a carjacking. It was a bump from behind on South Elm. So they use the bump. They use the minor fender bender from behind. So how do we prevent it? Park in lit areas, always be hyper aware of your surroundings. Equip your car with anti-theft devices, lock your doors while driving, avoid driving alone at night when possible. Don't stop for apparently stranded drivers along the road. Note their location and pull over in a safe place once you've passed and call the police, notify or dial it, let them know where there's a stranded motorist. Be aware of fake accidents. If you're suspicious, drive to the nearest police station as possible or to a very populated area or a very lit area, a large grocery store that's highly populated or something like that. Don't immediately pull. If it's just a little fender bender bump and you're suspicious, keep driving until you get to a highly populated area something like that. If you don't know where a police station is, then go to someplace very lit with a lot of people.
And how would you communicate that to the other driver if it was, say, maybe it wasn't an attempted carjacker?
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, okay,
If you're driving, dial 911.
Okay.
And then let the dispatch know that and say, hey, I just got rear-ended. I don't feel comfortable about this. I'm gonna continue driving until I get somewhere. Please send police to me. And then hopefully the police will meet you there by that. And if the other driver is irritated or upset,
Yeah.
so be it. I'd rather you be safe and know that you did what you, because you weren't comfortable with that. That's fine. What to do after an attack? If you were threatened with a weapon, give up your car. Property's not worth your life. Give up your car. All right. Try to know as many physical characteristics of the carjacker as possible so you can provide a detailed report to the police. Always avoid a potential dangerous situation. That's the best thing to do. All right. Always carry your cell phone with you. You exit your vehicle and use your best judgment when driving and parking in unfamiliar areas. If they want your cell phone, if they see it, if they try to rob you of your purse, your wallet and everything, give it up. Give it all to them. I mean, it's not worth your life. Okay? Because likely they might mistake your car. We don't know, but if they try to take everything, give it to them. This property is not worth your life. All right. If you have any further questions beyond anything tonight for the chief and I, this is Community Service Detective Paul Boudreau, who was in our presentation earlier. That's his contact information right there. You can follow up with Detective Boudreau. He's the one that does our weekly crime stats, our ESINs, and all of that for us. You can always reach out to me. I'm on our website as well.
question for identity theft. Did that say, I don't know, you get some odd call or some weird mailing, is that, and you believe you're a victim of identity theft, should you call the police for that?
Yes.
Or-
Absolutely.
Okay,
Let us take a look at what you have first.
Mhm.
There's such a variety of identity theft
Yeah.
out there now.
Yeah.
Whether it just be online, credit card, whether it be social security number, such a variety of things out there, bank accounts, variety of things that they're using now. So if you think you've been a victim of it, notify us. Let us take a look at what you have. And then we can get you into touch with whatever agency or possibility of whatever it might be.
okay.
So.
And that like non-emergency number would probably be appropriate, right?
Right,
Like that's kind of
yeah,
something you're
645-3000.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
That'd probably be the best. Yeah,
Okay.
have an officer respond, take a look at it.
Mhm.
And then we can get you in touch with the 3 credit reporting agencies if it's something that's non-criminal, but it might be something where you want to just flag your accounts just possibly or something, that'd be the best way, or not just put you back in touch with your banking institution or something like that, or just depending on what it may be. Yeah.
I have another question too. Neighbors, and I'm not sure if this is still an issue, but the last several years, it seemed to be trendy to not put any curtains on your first floor. And very often, if we're walking the neighborhood, we look in, we see people eating dinner, watching TV. I mean, I feel like I'm right there. The no curtain thing kind of concerns me because I do have neighbors near me that leave often and they never put any lights on and their windows are open and the house is all dark. To me, that's a red flag, but it is what it is. Haven't had any issue yet,
Sure.
but I don't know if that would, if it is an issue, maybe it isn't. Has anyone else noticed? No curtains, windows, just.
I mean, it's hard to say because everybody has their personal preference. I mean, it's
Right.
their private residence. And so people like the natural light that comes in during the day and then they don't want to shut it down and then they don't like light. I mean, we can just give tips and some people would follow them and some people wouldn't. So that's a personal preference. Some people just don't want that stuff and some others might. So.
Yeah.
Well, I can share a story real quick. It happened to me about 3 weeks ago. I was down at my office in the meeting, a Zoom meeting, and wife yells down to me to come come upstairs, my daughter was in an accident. And the meeting came up, he said, with the guy on the phone that said my daughter was in an accident, we bumped her. And she got out of the car, she started taking pictures and everything like that. And so he said she was really frantic, so I took her phone away from her and had her sit in my car. And I said, okay, where are you? And while he was doing that, I have a program, Life 360. You guys ever heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
And so while my wife was still frantic, I tried to get her to calm down. And I said, just keep on asking, where are you? Where are you? And but I was able to contact my daughter. She was at work. Lisa showed her phone at work and I talked to her. Then I just hung up the phone. But he had already told my wife that he had took her phone away from her, that he had to tie her up and to keep her calm. And he didn't want to call the police because he had 3 kilos of heroin in his car. So I called it in. And just that kind of stuff happens all the time. And bottom line, he would ask us for some money to either get my daughter back or either to repair his car without getting the police involved. So you have to be kind of suspicious of those things as well. But the Life 360, it's a good program to use. So then when I talked to her, I just hung up the phone. And I explained to my wife, this was wasn't an accident. No, she wasn't. But she was just as frantic as the guy was on the phone book. So, but when I was working, I dealt with fraud and scams.
Definitely a fraud call.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Definitely a scam.
the officer I spoke with traced the number they were using to St. Louis University Hospital. Yeah. You might not have been at St. Louis University, but he used one of their numbers to
Yeah.
And my daughters would never call my wife if there was an accident.
That was the first time.
Just saying those things. And even my wife said, I was kind of surprised he called me, but he called me. Well, he somewhere along the line, he got my wife's.
Right. We have another question?
I just have
Yes,
a quick question. I live in that Edgar Road area of Webster.
Mhm.
Like Watson and Edgar, and as the police department knows, there's so many ins and outs of that neighborhood onto Watson. And we're just wondering, a lot of people in the neighborhood, if we've asked for like a camera around that area, speed bumps, lights, something to slow the traffic down, because those people are flying off Watson, flying around, going through all the areas. Nobody knows who they are. Maybe they're, I had somebody stop me. I was out watering the grass a few weeks ago, and he stopped me and he said, I'm just looking at houses. He started asking me all these weird questions. And there's just a lot of people roaming around in there. And I will say, when we do call the police, you guys are there really quickly. So thank you for that. But we just wonder if we could get something on those streets to slow that traffic down. Or lights or camera or something to help us out, because we do have text messaging with the neighbors, and everybody locks their cars and all of that, with the exception of this one lady who was a garage door open. But what else can the city do for us? Because we kind of feel like we're sitting ducks right there in that little enclave.
Well, which street specifically?
Like Ronald, Sunningwell, Canterbury, Cheshire, all
Okay.
in there. And, I think it was last summer, there was a homeless person living in somebody's backyard. There's just crazy stuff going on around there. And I don't know who the person was, so I don't know if they called the police or anything, but, can we get speed bumps or a camera or?
Well, I know that the city is investigating and doing some initiatives for some speed humps, but I don't know the locations of those yet where we're doing that.
We could
When that's
really
coming.
use one in that area.
We can also do some targeted speed enforcement down there. So I can have my officers respond down there and do some targeted enforcement. That's not a problem.
Okay,
Cameras, we don't have cameras. We have a few cameras throughout the city, but we don't have them for that right now. We
In
can
the
always,
neighborhoods, you mean?
we have, well, some key area locations. We can always put that into the future, look at that and see about some key points on that stuff. But I could definitely put some targeted enforcement down there, put my officers down there to do some speed enforcement and that stuff.
Yeah.
And see for that wouldn't be a problem at all.
Okay, that'd be great. I mean, we had a car stop at Cheshire and Canterbury. At a block party a few weeks ago, and at midnight, a car stopped, he turned the lights out. And then the guy got out. A couple people caught it on their camera, but couldn't, get a license plate number or anything like that. But, somebody got out of the car and, went walking down the street, probably looking for cars, because the house next door to me, they tried to get into that car. 'Cause they have,
Did they call us?
Yes.
yes, somebody did call you.
Okay, that's the,
Yes.
that's the solution.
Yes.
Yes. As far as the cameras go, we do have we were able to purchase some of the ARP funds, some cameras we put in the perimeter of the city, so we do have some of those, but unfortunately, even with public safety, you have to put a cost on it.
Yeah.
And they're very expensive, so we can't really buy a lot of those. It's just not cost effective. So that's probably something that wouldn't happen. The speed humps, the city is looking at, some boards are looking at, safe streets initiatives. So that's a possibility, but again, there are some drawbacks to speed humps, and quite honestly, every engineering study that you'll find will tell you that speed humps don't necessarily stop speed. So that's what you're looking for. That's not necessarily a solution. Targeted enforcement is much more effective for that.
What about lights? Are those?
That's another thing. It's you're talking about costs. It's one of the reasons there's not a lot of street lights around the city. Whenever you want to install those, they are prohibitively expensive. I can't tell you. I think a bit off the top of my head, so I may or may not be accurate, but you're talking probably $30,000 to $50,000 for one light post. And again, those are things that are kind of cost prohibitive. Plus, I think you'll find a lot of your neighbors don't want streetlights.
Right now, neighborhood one.
Well, you might think that, but you'd be surprised if they would come up putting them in, that there are probably some people opposed to it.
Oh, really?
But in any case, that's something that's extremely expensive,
Okay,
and again, it's something that really the city public works are going to take a look at that probably is cost prohibitive.
And I'll tell you one thing that my neighbors forget, we have a Ring doorbell. And we have the Ring, right, we have on the back of our house. And even if at night a bug flies across, it lights up my entire backyard. And it notifies me on my phone. Most of the time it's deer jumping over the fence to see. But I have it, my neighbor, three houses down, we all have it. So
a lot
I
of
can,
people have those, yeah.
yeah, I can see completely my backyard. I can see my neighbor's yard behind me and over to the east of me. We have the same thing on the front, If somebody breaks that barrier coming up my sidewalk, it lets me know somebody's at my front door, the lights come on. And I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 homes. I have the setting as wide as it can get without getting the street traffic. But they step into my property, it's gonna ring. And we all got together and we did that, and we're glad that we did. And we haven't had any problem, but we know we doing some kind of frontline safety.
Can I make a suggestion to you? I think one of the solutions for you might be to know your neighbors, have that community effort. That some of, to call the officers or, they're there.
We have that.
Absolute. But I mean, I think that's critical.
We have a group text, and
Yeah,
when something happens,
Let
like
everybody know.
somebody's car got broken into, the text goes out and. Whoever has a camera.
Yeah.
Looks at it, so we've got all that in
That's
place, yeah, and everybody talks, up in the street while they're cutting grass and all that, so we've got all that. We were just. See what else was there to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Birch.
Absolutely.
yes.
Are we okay posting those slides on the PCB kind of resources section?
Sure.
Okay, perfect.
I could be mistaken, but I think they're on the city site and they're on our Facebook page right now, but.
Okay,
we can certainly do that.
Yeah, they they might be already, yeah. Okay, so moving on to past business, just have a couple quick things here. We have our website updated with the feedback form and kind of narrative associated with that. So that's out there ready for folks to use. And as we'll discuss in a minute, we've got one comment that came through so far on that feedback form. John, for your awareness, we've been working on kind of just a way to get input from the community that lives on our PCB community or PCB website, to point folks to. It'll go, I think, to Chief Curtis's mailbox or at least someone within the city is kind of a first line of review in case there's anything emergency. And then we'll bring those comments to meetings to discuss. Yeah. And then Lexi shared her summary that she presented to the city council in September. So that was attached to the email with the agenda. Wanted to ask if anyone, I guess, had any comments or questions. I know Lexi can't talk, but she can chat any responses on how that went.
Bill, can you forward that to me for the minutes?
What was that?
Can you forward that to me for the minutes?
Yes, I can.
Lexi, I think if you're on the chat, I see you're talking about adding the 2 new members. The
To the
council's,
website, yeah,
the council's approved them, so they are members of the board. We don't really need to do anything else.
okay. We'll get them added to the website and refresh that.
That's what I meant.
Okay, moving on to new business. So the one comment that we did get through the feedback form, it was anonymous, so no way to kind of reach out directly, but it was a concern about a neighbor storing lawn equipment for their business at their home. So city staff, Chief Curtis looked into that. That's a code enforcement issue. It's not kind of a police matter. And the state of Missouri no longer allows cities to regulate home businesses. So frankly, in short, nothing we can really do about it. But kind of what came out of that too was the thought that, maybe this is a place where we can kind of address via FAQ on the website. I'll pull this up in a little bit, but rather than maybe address these specific questions that come through, more of like, here's where to find more info about this type of concern or topic. So this one being like code enforcement, here's where to maybe you can direct your question to or find out more. We'll get into that in a second, but otherwise, no other feedback yet, but I know we haven't been promoting it yet. Next item on here, wanted to kind of bring up, I think, the shooting and tuxedo that happened that was definitely in the news for our community. I know, I think Chief Curtis or the city put out kind of a detailed FAQ that was posted in like the Friday page, Facebook, but it was the talk of the town, right? So wanting to maybe discuss as a group, is there opportunity to respond quicker? And there was, and again, this is kind of the Facebook community connection chats about wanting to know, exactly what's going on. There's a lot of challenges to sharing active investigations and everything that goes with that. But yeah, anything that the group wanted to maybe ask, bring up, discuss together. Is there, and I guess maybe Chief Curtis, is there a role for the PCB there that you would, whether it's website or even just addressing your,
I'm not sure that there is an actual role.
Yeah.
We put out a media release actually fairly quickly after the shooting. It's one of the things where again, social media is way ahead of moves faster than what we generally respond to. My community service officer obviously wasn't working at it. We actually have a Twitter account, we have a Facebook account, but we weren't really able to get it up before we were starting to make comments on it. Certainly, it's a unusual occurrence for Webster, fortunately. So the interest in it is totally understandable. The fact, the seriousness of it was certainly something that deserved a response from the police department. And again, we may not have responded as quickly as I would like to, but I do think we were pretty quick and pretty transparent responsive. Probably the things that were most concerning to the community, this way I got from both social media and from questions we got, were the responses to incidents and events that actually happened before the shooting, and also with some of the things around it as opposed to the shooting itself. And again, being transparent, we tried to examine what happened and respond to the people who had the concerns. As far as the neighborhood concerns, they were legitimate. It's certainly the person who's done the shooting had been a nuisance and had caused some problems. But we did everything that we legally could do. We can't unfortunately just pull somebody off the street because they're being a nuisance. And one of the biggest concerns that we had, and one of the biggest problems we had, was that that person was being allowed to stay at that residence. And as long as that was occurring, we really couldn't remove them from that situation. So, yeah, I can understand the concerns from the residents, and some of them were legitimate, and we maybe could have done a little bit better job. But for instance, the recreational home that he was staying in, that certainly was against code. It was reported, but that's one of those things. There's a process in that actually has to go through the court system, and that takes some time. This process will take some time. Whenever that did get removed, then it went to a tent. There are no code violations on tents. So again, it was a challenge for us and for code enforcement to address that situation specifically. So again, we probably weren't perfect with it, but I think we did a fairly good job, and we were fairly responsive, I think, and as transparent as we could be. Some of the things on the investigation end of it, that was another concern, which was, again, is legitimate, was that supposedly he was loose for several hours afterwards, that we needed to do a better job of notifying the neighbors. I was actually out of town at the time, so I'm not passing the buck on this, but the people, the command staff that were involved made a threat assessment, and they didn't feel that there was a threat to the neighborhood. He wasn't actually there at that point and was gone. And was located where we thought he would be the next day in Richmond Heights when he was arrested. So again, I understand the concern, but I think we were fairly responsive and did the right thing there. As far as the arrest itself and him being held, we can only do what we can do, and that is we made the arrest based upon probable cause. Whenever that happens, we go to the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and it's up to them to issue a warrant. You can hold a person for 24 hours without a warrant based upon probable cause, which is what we're doing. St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney, and this is again where I have to be careful, I can't get into all the details, but what happens is they look at a case and it often happens where they need more information, or they want more information to actually issue the warrant. Because they want to be comfortable that it's a legitimate case and something they can prosecute and win in court. That happened in this case. There was a few more items that they needed, and unfortunately, some of them were lab items that needed to go through that process. So it takes time for that to occur. And even today, we're still following that up, investigating up on the things that they were asking us to take a look at. So unfortunately, after 24 hours, we have to release, and they have the same rights as anyone else. We did do heavy patrol in the area, with logging and NCAD. Again, I understand the concerns of neighbors, so we did everything we could as far as making sure we patrolled it heavily, and kept the watch as best we could and documented it. So again, I understand the concerns of the neighbors. They were legitimate. I understand some of the frustrations that they had because they were legitimate. We had some frustrations of, well, we were operating as well as we could within the boundaries of the law. We just, as much as sometimes we would like to, we can't go outside that. If we allow for that situation, then we allow, that means we can do whatever we want. And that's just not something we should do.
And I think the FAQ was extremely helpful in learning what you can and cannot do, like restraining orders even. I did not know that, that's a whole process and you cannot just get those out. So I do think the FAQ is really helpful in understanding that. Thanks for explaining all that. Any other questions from the board on that? Anyone on Zoom? Oh, Lexi's got a comment there. Yeah.
I would just quickly echo what the chief was saying. I think from what I've read and understood, I think the response was as coordinated as it could be and thorough and on time and you know, having had the chance to kind of study some of these kinds of active shooter situations, I'm really grateful that your officers were able to intervene as they did and created an opportunity for a situation to be much less severe than it could have been. So I just want to say bravo.
Thank you.
Moving on. FAQ was next on the agenda. I will share my screen real quick. I won't spend too long on this, maybe like 10-ish minutes. What I'd like to do is get the board's thought on additional questions that come to mind and figure out this here. You know, Lexi and I were thinking this could be of use for our PCB website. I kind of alluded to it a couple minutes ago, but kind of addressing questions around, you know, what from the top of what's our purpose with PCB, to getting into specific questions we may get from the feedback form, and other things like that. Let me just try to. Double check it. Sorry, my laptop I never use. Nope.
Is that it?
No, this is the agenda. Where did I just? Oh, public here. Okay, here we go. All right. So very much kind of a work in progress was frankly my pretty quick, just jotting down the question, right? No responses at this time. I'll kind of go quickly through what I've got here. You know, goal and purpose of the PCEB, frankly, would just pull from our charter. Here, just kind of having it all in one place. What can the PCB not do? Again, this is kind of spelled out in our ordinance / charter already, but again, pulling it out to be more specific. This is kind of what I was alluding to with the feedback form. You know, who, like, I would like to share feedback, concern about a topic. Who's the best contact? Because I think there could be a lot that may get directed to us, or even Chief Curtis in the police department that, you know, just may need to go to a different department, someone else within the city. We've got like violation of city ordinances, criminal activity, like for that one, for example. That's not the right place to bring to the PCB, the right topic. That should go to the police department. Traffic issues, personnel issues would go straight to the police department. Policies, programs, and practices, transparency. So you can see what I'm kind of bringing in some of the language from our ordinance and charter. The last one, you know, encouraging community engagement. Like ideally, we get good positive feedback of ways to engage the community here as well. But thought that might be helpful if folks are maybe just trying to figure out, okay, I have this idea, thought, here's who I need to bring it to.
Jill, on the
Yeah.
policies, programs, practices.
Yeah.
Transferring family. I think there's a role for the PCB in that. Again, you don't have oversight of the police department, but.
Yeah.
And I think there's not a lot of members here that got started, but I think that if you look back at the history of the board, whenever we had issues like that come up or whatever, we certainly are open to discussing it and getting suggestions and input from the board. And if there's something that we can do different, that we're currently doing, or something that we're not doing that you think we can be doing, we're open to that. Police department's open to that. We're open to discussions on those kind of things. So I think there is a role for the board.
Oh yeah, no, I think number 5 here, really 5 and down, 5 through 7 here are all places where, you know, we want those to come to PCB and we want to hear that. Yeah, agree. Where can I find meeting minutes, kind of getting logistical here. And then there's a couple things, you know, in our ordinance that we haven't tackled too much yet that are kind of on our agenda, definitely will as we go along here, but the annual plan of action that we need to put together and the listening only, or the citizen only listening session. So we'll talk about those coming up here. And then, I just kind of started brainstorming. So, there's a lot here. I tend to like doing FAQ, so I can go on forever with FAQs, but we do want to be able to think through responses and answers to these as well. So curious, I guess, if any others come to mind immediately. I think next steps, I guess I would encourage board members to maybe email me with question thoughts. Want to be conscious of the sunshine line. I don't think we'd be making any decisions outside the meeting, but maybe for next meeting come November, I could share like a more thought out draft ahead of time for discussion at the next meeting. But open to any thoughts too, including like this is not a good idea. Curious what you all think.
Well, I think as somebody new on the board, the most useful thing to me is what are we and what aren't we, right?
Yeah.
And kind of helping people define and understand, and then they can best use us by knowing, okay, these are the kind of things you bring to us. This is what we can do with it. This, and this are not our purview. And here's who you can reach for those, right? I do like that a lot, because even I, day one, I'm going, okay, what's our mission, right? I read it in the regulations, but I don't know that I fully grasp it yet.
Make sure, let me see if we've got any, sorry, I know this messed up the screen, see if we've got any chat. Okay, well, I guess I just got.
Yeah, I was just wondering if some of those could be pulled from some of these social sites and brought in, because sometimes that's where they're being asked, they're not being pushed to our website or what have you. I don't know
Yeah.
if there's a way, I'm not always the most connected to the different versions of the Webster Connect and all that, to be honest, but I don't know if that's another means that we can encourage that traffic to come our way, that we're starting to answer the questions that are circulating in the community nonstop.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah, I think
I
this
can
could
ask
be-
for help at home to review some of these sites, but maybe that's another part of our purpose.
I know they change the top of the Webster Groves Community Connect every month. I think they usually have sponsors or something, but putting something about us on top of there may be a great
Very interesting idea, yeah.
way for them to get
Yeah.
awareness out. And because you're right, that's where
That's where the questions are
up there.
Yeah,
The, never mind, I'm gonna type it out. You won't be able to hear me. I'll type it out.
yeah, and I think this, this could be living and breathing, like as we get the feedback form, comments, as we hear more on social, we can continue to add to this. I mean, there's a balance. We don't want it to be too unwieldy either, as well as, overburdening Jenny and working with the website, but that's like, that would be the purpose here is to try to kind of answer some of the questions that are coming in, yeah.
or to just create the pathway, right? Because
Yeah.
we just need to beat that drum over and over again until people realize we're here, because I don't think it's well known, right?
No, I agree, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well,
I just want
guess
to, can I just
Yeah.
add a quick point? Because we're,
Absolutely.
it's making me think about, we're talking in part about the Facebook Community Connect group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I left that group 4 years ago, and it was the most healthiest choice online I've ever made.
No,
And I just think
yeah,
we gotta be thoughtful about that group in particular, and I'm being very critical, and I realize that, but it can spin so ridiculously out of control that I think we just need to find ways to moderate
mhm,
when we lean into a topic and when we, perhaps seek out some extend an invitation to get feedback, that group can go straight crazy in 60 seconds. And I think we can leverage that. I just want to acknowledge that we've got to be thoughtful about that particular group because it can really go sideways fast.
Yeah, and I was thinking not really engage within that group or in that site, but to actually just looking at it. Maybe bringing, if there is something that's spinning around. we
Yeah.
can-
Yeah, that's the
Counter-
safe way, right? And then that could be really useful actually to kind of see what the topics are and what comes up. So I think to kind of find almost like data mining, like what are they talking about?
That's what I mean.
What are the concerns? And I think that could be useful, that approach.
If there is something churning over there, can we somehow say, okay, there's a concern here and direct them to our website? Or to a better place for us to access the question. Like if they're going crazy over something, here's where to put that.
So perfect
Sure.
segue to another agenda topic, but
Before we move on to that,
Yeah.
I just want to be very careful. I've
Yeah.
known the Webster Groves Kirkwood Times to take something straight off of Facebook
Yeah,
and print it.
yeah, we don't
And
want,
Yeah.
print it, not word for word, and they had
Yeah.
no clue if it was true or not. I guess they were short of articles that day or something, not that day, many days. So you have to be careful
oh yeah,
you put out there, and if someone from this group respond to something, PECB said,
right,
you know, and
Right.
Yeah.
no, I don't think we'd want to respond directly
Yeah.
ever. I think if there's something spinning, you bring it here. We
Right.
would bring it here and just say we're.
Yeah, yeah.
We've noticed this is spinning, like the shooting incident or whatever.
And that's what we try to do off the social media. We generally are able to monitor it for the most part. And we're very careful trying to deny not to respond to it directly into the
Yeah,
Facebook
no,
because
Definitely.
what it turns into is a debate or argument.
Right.
So develop the FAQs like you were talking about, and then we'll post that, we think will at least address what looks like is the topic of concern, rather than trying to get into an argument or debate with the people that are posting.
yeah, and that, no, that is a perfect segue, we're skipping one point we'll come back to, but. Social media policy for board members, I flagged something I saw on Facebook, to Chief Curtis and Lexi. A community member was holding like a meeting in a park about her experience, like sexual assault or harassment in the community, and she was like encouraging folks to come chat about it. Like, to your point, I don't think we want to respond on behalf of the PCEB, but can we use those opportunities to point people to the feedback form, to point them to the website, let them know we exist, we have these monthly meetings, at least just do that level of awareness so that, and then we have the open forum to discuss it publicly.
And we did send an officer to that. There was only one other person that.
Yeah, yeah.
was there, but we did some.
Oh, okay. Do you have any updates on that? I'm just kind of curious.
As I said, there was only one other person there. And again, we offered tips in general about,
Yeah,
her main topic was stalking.
yeah, Yeah.
So I didn't think there was some tips, but we can't tell people they can't offer that, but
mhm,
I think it's better coming from people who have experience and some professionalism with it. Than
right,
this with someone like that, but I don't discourage people from trying to be active in the community, but that probably wasn't helpful.
okay, no, fair enough. To that point then, it sounds like we're in agreement though that it's okay if we point people to our PCB website or feedback form, if we see things on social. I guess, and Chief Curtis, I don't know if there is kind of guidelines around that, like, should we flag those things before we do that? Or like, bring it. Social moves so fast, right? So it's hard to say we can bring it to the monthly meeting because it'll be long gone by then. But yeah, curious if we should maybe like check with you first before doing so, or just use our best judgment.
My best recommendation on that would not necessarily get checked with, but just to inform me that this is what's there. like, most of the things are on the social media, like you said, I mean, if they're traveling the speed of light, and about 90% of the time,
Yeah,
they have some accuracy to them, but
yeah, yeah.
it's not based upon, some basis for the whole topic, whatever it might be, so. If, I think it'd be good for you to make us aware of it, as far as actually addressing it as the board or board member. I'd be really careful about that, so I think it could cause some serious issues. But as far as a actual policy for the PCB and for individual members, there isn't a formal policy for boards and commissions other than just a common sense thing. So all I would do is urge you to exercise caution in that. And
Yeah.
if you see something you think that we should know about, to let us know. And then we certainly can come to a meeting like this and talk about topics and
Yeah.
address whatever the concern is.
And I don't know that it happens too often. Really, that one I sent you was the first time that jarred my thinking of like, this would be appropriate forum for us to address. Okay. Similarly, we put, representing PCB at events. So I think it was more the same idea if we were at a community event where, again, like some kind of topic that brought up that would make sense for us to address in a meeting, more just pointing them again to feedback form, our website, informing them of our purpose, that kind of thing. So I think that's kind of the same idea there. Okay. Backing up, listening sessions. So this is part of our ordinance. We are committed to, hosting at least one, I believe, citizen only listening session. So Lexi, I'm reading your agenda item here. I think we're ultimately just looking for kind of, I think, the start of a plan of what we want to do. We may, maybe this is a place where we do want to kind of establish a subcommittee of folks to start thinking through what this looks like, the kind of the when, the where, the how detailed there.
She did have comments.
Yeah, so I know in a separate email that we were thinking, start planning this year, but the actual session would likely be, next year, given that, we're already at the end of October, got the holidays coming up. So the actual dates would be next year.
The other thing that I talked, when she discussed with me, this is likely my last meeting, retiring at the end of the year, so it would probably be a good thing for this actual sessions to occur when the new chief is here. It'd be better for him to be involved in it.
And it'll be,
Or her.
Did we approve that retirement? I don't think we did we?
No, we did not.
I don't remember that as an agenda item, chief, sorry.
I told him the same thing.
I know, we will
Do you
definitely
have
miss
your
you, Chief
replacement?
Just one quick thought on these listening sessions, which I've always liked those things. I think it would be, I'm looking at Sloan right now, and I think it would be great for us to very intentionally reach out and target young people in the area at even Hickson and the high school, and really do some targeted listening sessions to young people. I think we get a lot of information through Facebook, but let's face it, Sloan, do you use Facebook at all?
No, I've never used Facebook.
There you go. So I think we'll get, from a social media context, we'll get a lot of people that are Facebook users, but they're old folks like many of us, at least me. But I think to really deepen what PCEB can do, I think to really target the schools and just really, I'd be really curious as hell about how they view policing and their role in the community and things like that. So I think as we kind of brainstorm these out, I'd like to advocate that we do some things with kids in the school district. I think that could be really interesting to learn about.
Yeah, completely agree. Go ahead, Charlotte.
I think that's a really good idea, and I wonder if at that, like the listening sessions that were in the schools, if the school resource officer could also be someone who's like on that panel or something. I think
Sure.
like,
Well, that's
like
good. Yeah.
that opportunity to talk to them, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sloan, you said panel, which made me just kind of goes back to what I keep thinking, like, it's gonna be hard to draw a crowd, I think, to just a listening session for PCB. And I know we've talked about this in the past about connecting it with other events that are happening. But I do, and this may be a question for you, Emerson, in terms of, you know, in our ordinance is laid out as, you know, specific listening session for the PCB, but if we look at doing multiple, if we look at kind of tagging on to existing event, you know, would that kind of get us to the same place, in what that spells out in the ordinance? And we can give that more thought too.
When I was on the Board of Education, specifically for the high school, we had a group of either 10 or 15 students in the high school, where the board will go in once a quarter and listen to what they had to say. It was a two-way conversation. We said, we let them know we understand what you're saying. We work on the issue and then we come back. So we did that every quarter just to give them a voice. And if we got a solution for them, we went ahead and shared that with them. But it was like, say, listening and a two-way conversation is two different things.
Yeah.
You know, at every council meeting, we'll listen to you for 3 minutes, but we don't give you a response. And sometimes that's not satisfying. You know, I have a problem, what are you gonna do about it, and let them know. So consider, you know, creating that type of panel with the high school, Dixon, and whatever the elementary schools be interested in. But definitely, I would say the high school and Hickson.
Yeah.
And, you know, schools can pick, or students can pick their own representatives, who they want them to represent them, give them the questions, that's how we did it, and then we responded.
I like that because it's, yeah, I think we could kind of just have them prep a little bit, you know, again, kind of coming back to, we just put out the invite. I see no one showing up, right? Like, I think it does need to be more thoughtful, more intentional. Yeah, I'm looking at Lexi's chat. I think that's a great idea in terms of the homework assignment for the board to just think through suggestion for these listening sessions. You know, we can kind of start turning that into a plan. I do, as you were talking, Emerson, I was writing this down, because I think the listening session is one thing, where the two-way conversation, we should plan a follow-up like a year later in terms of, this is what we heard, now here's what we did in the last year to action on those.
Don't wait a year,
Yeah.
because they'll be gone by
Right,
that
right.
time.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
if
true.
you
Explaining
wait,
and
yeah, a
stuff.
few months, you know, then
Yeah.
the response.
To respond, okay, okay. Think about how long to actually make change happen, but no, that's fair.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a different organization, you know, they
Yeah.
got students that, what you gonna do
Yeah.
about the bugs in the building? What do you mean bugs in the building, you know? You know, but we took care of that within the first week, you know, we had
right.
exterminators visible, so they
Like
can
an
see that
easy-
they're doing it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, easy
But
next
yeah,
step
you have
there,
to want-
okay.
make sure that you respond in a timely
Mhm.
manner to all. But they'll blast, I mean, they'll, you know, one of the reps might have been a senior, you didn't do nothing for a whole year,
Right,
so why should we go
okay.
do it, so.
okay, well, yeah, if everyone should just kind of take that away and think about, you know, how we can make the most of the listening session. Just to get, you know, get some valid feedback and hear from different community members.
But don't forget, they got Webster University out there too.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah, I think
'cause
that would
they-
be a very important
We used to have
audience.
group sessions with them as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, I think there's. Yeah. There's a lot of different demographic. Or just like. Groups that, you know, people lying around, I'm thinking like faith-based groups, like there's a lot of different, I think. Areas that we could kind of target for these, or. If there's something else already going on, kind of tap into that as well.
Do we work with Eden?
What was that?
Do we work with Eden?
Say that one more time.
Eden.
Eden?
Seminar? Yeah.
Oh, Eden, I don't know, I don't think we've, but yeah, that's, you know, a group we. definitely tap into.
And some of the other groups that you think about, I know like at the, church, they're in, and they're occupying in Eden. They're still in the building, across the street, but, oh, shoot, can't think of it. But, Pastor Penny is the pastor, they have the, social group that talk about, prejudice here in Webster and things of that nature.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that group can get together and you can
Okay.
ask them specific questions.
Yeah.
And the key is to ask the same questions to the same group, so you
Right.
get answers that you put in a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are folks holding the Black Lives Matter sign?
Yes. And I can't think of what's that church sheet, it's for sale. But now they're gonna have a senior housing there.
It's, it's Episcopal, I think. I can't remember what the name of the church is.
Yeah, but I know they have groups that meet, and there's a group
Yeah.
of ministers that have. Meetings every month, and then there's a group of the churches. Of members, they have meetings every month.
I think they moved over to Eden.
Yes,
Get space over
oh yeah,
there.
they moved up to Eden, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, like, can we get on the agenda of existing meetings,
I'd be
right? So that-
happy to do it.
Yeah, so then we're already in front of them, they get the agenda in advance, they know we're coming, they gives them a little bit of time to think through.
I keep on all those groups.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to participate on, but that is.
yeah. Like maybe the chamber from a business perspective, things like that where
Mhm.
we're proactively putting ourselves in front of a group rather than asking people to come to us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bingo.
And maybe we do a combo too. Okay, now we're getting close here towards the end of our time, so I'm gonna move us along. But yeah, appreciate, we'll put this on the agenda for next meeting, for sure. We've got carjacking tips for social. I think Captain Perks went through some tips in his presentation. We can definitely draw from there. Lexi Sloan, maybe we can take that offline in terms of, a few posts there based on that presentation. And then the last item here was combating hate. So, there's been some recent Black Lives Matter, trans signs stolen, burned, just anti.
Is it
by churches
or burn near churches?
Bye.
The churches
That's what
burn?
it says.
Oh, I know that's what it said,
Oh.
but.
Like close to or the church
Yeah,
burned?
burning, yeah.
I think it means in the vicinity.
In the vicinity.
Yeah.
Okay, still wanna make
That's
sure.
the other way. What is he-
Who is that?
And that's, you guys can tell I am someone who's on the community connect, that had been, a topic as well, that's kind of come up, in terms of, if there's, what can we do about that? Those are just, they're, ultimately somewhat, they're not violent acts, but they're not pleasant either, they're not a good,
They
whatever
fall
you
under
wanna say.
the heading of hate
Yeah,
crimes. And
yeah.
they're definitely concerning. I mean, are they
Yeah.
violent? Not necessarily. Could they lead to violence? And the answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if we did FAQs of that, but, and I can't get too deep into that, but they have a pretty good idea that actually most of that, if not all of it, was instituted by a group that's regional and national. And we have a pretty good idea of not specific individual suspect, but of the individuals in the group that were suspects. From Intel and from the St. Louis Fusion Group. So we have a good idea that we don't think it was anybody within our community, within the Webster community, or anybody necessarily even in this region. So is it a concern? Definitely. Is there something that we can do to address it or be proactive to prevent it? As much as I'd like to say yes, I can't think of what that would be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know either, Lexi, let us know in the chat if you had any specific ideas here. I don't know if there's something we can do just about, here's your avenues of free speech in terms of, and I'm sure that's just opening a can of worms, but I'm trying to think of, instead of burning that sign, what you could do instead, but yeah, I'm not sure that would do anything. Yeah.
I think the best thing we can do, the board could do is just be supportive of the groups that were victims of it and also
Yeah,
put out there the positive messages and, the damage that it could cause and the understanding about it.
yeah, so let's see, how PCV can help create a community culture for positive dialogue. I really like that. Yep. Yeah, so I think that's definitely worth kind of thinking through as we put together this action plan. Really, I think fits into our purpose nicely as well.
Remember, the city buys a whole page out of the Times every month.
Yeah.
So, you can
Okay.
always squeeze
No,
some
that's-
space in that to make your
Yeah.
comments and stuff.
Okay.
Just-
Yeah, I think part of our action plan, should have a dedicated communication, kind of awareness, promotion section, and yeah, that can absolutely be a tactic we leverage. Okay. All right, next meeting. So Lexi suggested, do we want to move our November meeting from the 21st to the following week? And Lexi, I think the 28th would actually be that Tuesday, 27th is a Monday. I guess maybe Chief Curtis may depend on the city calendar first, but
I was trying to check to see if it's conflict.
okay. And that's just given the Thanksgiving holiday later that week. Personally, I don't have a preference.
21st, the city council
Okay,
meeting. With the first and the third, Tuesday.
That's one of the reasons why I have them for
so it would be on the 28th anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so we're already on the 28th, Lexi, because it's the fourth Tuesday. So all good, we should be all good there. Okay, no worries. Okay, and then, yeah, we've already got a couple ideas of agenda topics for the next meeting in terms of, Chief Curtis, you'll remember from a while ago, just the idea of maybe reviewing body cam footage once in a while, as part of our, push for transparency or, yeah. And then we've also kind of discussed procedure, de-escalation tactics, a whole lot more context there. I'm sure Lexi does, but otherwise, I think we'll definitely follow up on listening session ideas, FAQs, any other suggestions, email them to Lexi. We'll get that agenda put together for November. With that, I've got 5 minutes. If we have anyone left in the public, but anything else that the group wants to raise? Okay. Tell us about what we're seeing in the videos, policies behind the steps, and when it comes to body cam footage is what Lexi was referring to there.
Well, if we have 5 minutes left, I'll see if I can get permission to update the committee on something. I think Lexi, you probably went through to the session with the chairs, talking about
Yeah.
Policies recommended.
I joined that as well.
Oh, you doing it as well?
Yeah.
So can I go through that really quick?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And just so that the reason for this is that obviously this year, our boards and commissions have been really busy. I mean, busier than I've ever seen them ever. And I've been in Webster almost 40 years. So, but we're starting to impact staff's time in getting things done. They have their regular job, but then they have requests from all the commissions and things. So we did set up some guidelines and policies for that. Just gonna read this quickly. Board commission chair submits the written policy recommendation to the staff liaison. That'll be cheap. Well, a little bit of time he got left. And then the policy recommendation should reflect the agreement of a majority of the board or commission being submitted in writing and do not need to be submitted on the meeting request form. Number 2 is staff liaison coordinates with the department director, chief, to discuss the policy recommendation. Number 3, the department director chief submits a recommendation to the city manager in response to the request. The recommendation should reflect alignment with the city, state, federal requirements and feasibility of implementation. Staff resources, associated costs, timelessness, things of that nature, so. Just using you as an example, but not,
Yeah.
you know, we want to update our website. Well, that's
Well,
taking up
we have-
somebody's,
Yeah, we have done that a lot, so
Yeah.
totally fair.
and I'm guilty of it too, because I call them. Especially Mara, at least 2-3 times a week about something. Item number 4, city manager reviews the policy recommendation and departmental memo. If the recommendation impacts other departments, a recommendation memo will be requested from the respective departments. So they're just going to send a request on and say, hey, yeah, it's gonna take me so many hours to get done. If no other departments are affected, the step may be skipped. The city manager evaluates the board commission policy recommendation and the accompanying department memos and make a recommendation based on all of the information. And the city manager provides her written recommendation to the board commission chair, staff liaison, council liaison, and department director. It's been supported, neutral, unsupported. All department memos will be provided to the board commission's chair. So, supported or neutral, city manager will schedule discussion of the topic on available council work sessions agenda. So we'll get a chance to bounce it around if it's supported or if it's neutral. And unsupported is after reviewing the city manager's recommendations and departmental memos, the board commission shall determine if the meeting request form will be submitted to the city manager to address the council. If submitted, the city manager will submit all materials to the council for their consideration and determination if the topic should be placed on our agenda. So we have to make sure we give plenty of time for that process to happen. It seems like a lot of stuff, but it's not. It'll happen very quickly. It's on our work session. We get that stuff ahead of time. We read it. We don't have any problems with it. A lot of times it just thumbs up or thumbs down. So but we have to put that in place so that we can monitor staff resources a little bit better. And like I said, if I don't have 2 things for Eric to do every week, maybe 2 or 3 for Marie to do every week, and especially like I say, Mara, you know, I'm taking up their time to doing something that is just an answer for me and nothing to really affect the city. So anybody got any questions about that?
I think we have, Lexi, we probably have those documents, that we could share around for the folks
Mhm.
on the board. Yeah, we can do that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, with that, does anyone move to adjourn?
I can't.
I move to adjourn.
You can second.
Alright, thanks, folks on Zoom.
Thanks, Shannon, Lexi, so appreciate it.
Take care, everybody. See you soon.
Right on time.